I think those difficult conversations are easier when you continually give feedback. And I think agents don't give feedback sometimes.
So that's an important point.
Yeah.
How connected are you to a seller? So like you have a house, it's listed.
Yeah.
How often are you speaking to them? How often are you updating them? What are you saying to them?
In this market every day. Because there's so much happening, so in this market every day. However, again, I've been doing this for a long time. So there used to be, you have a listing, you would tell the seller, you got to assume 3 to 4 months.
That and hair. You got them both.
Thank you.
Hair and a good pair of shoes.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. You're like, I don't want to be number one, because when you're number one, you give everything up. And I'm like trying to be number one and I give up a lot of shit.
That's all right. Listen, if it's like a goal of yours, then like shoot for it, right?
I think it's more of an addictive, compulsive thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I
totally get that.
That's the way I'm wired.
Yeah. I definitely have that in me where I can just go super competitive. Mm-hmm. So like for me, it's like kind of tailing myself back a little bit because I'm just competitive in nature.
Yeah.
It's always the way I've been.
So the interesting thing is like, so you're hyper competitive.
Yeah.
But you feel like you have a governor.
Yes.
Like I don't have a governor. It's just the switch is either on or it's off.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of like if I really want to get something, I'm going to get it.
Okay.
Like I'm really intentional in all of my efforts and stuff like that. But I've gotten to a place where it's kind of like, I've done the number one position, not number one of signature, because we talked about I don't really want to be number one.
You don't want to do it just to do it, just to be like, all right, I did it, now I'm good. Like I won the gold medal.
All right, I'll tell you why. So like during COVID, I had obviously everyone in real estate had really good years.
Yeah.
Right. I had one year where I sold like 50 houses by myself personally. And it was a lot of money. I'm not going to lie. It was great. But at what cost? I realized I had no more joy in my life. I was just after a while, I don't know. I just felt that it was just too much. And I'm big on work-life balance.
Okay.
And I felt like my balance was off. I was just focusing so much on work. And I was forgetting about the stuff I actually enjoy. Okay. So I love going out to go see shows. I love to eat great food. I love to meet up with friends. And I felt like my relationship started to suffer. And for me, it wasn't worth it anymore.
So I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What's the point where shit starts to get crazy? Like obviously at 50, you're like, I felt like my quality of life was suffering. What's the line as far as volume goes where you're like, it's just not worth it?
Yeah. So I remember I had 24 deals under contract at once.
Okay.
And I'm a super relational agent, right? I know my clients' names. I know their kids' names. I know the name of their dog.
You're emotionally invested.
I am in with them, right? So that's always been my thing. So I'm a very, very relational agent, not transactional, relational, right? And I pride myself on this. I teach classes on this. This is what I am. And I remember what happened was a client called me and they wanted to check on a status of something. I didn't know who they were. I was like, who is this person? I knew them as their address.
You had sold the house.
Yeah, and
the house was pending.
Yeah, it was pending, exactly. So we're under contract, and they called me, and I'm like, wait, what buyer is this? I don't even know who this person is. It was so, everything was happening so fast that I lost sight of who my client was. I just knew them as the address of the property.
Yeah.
And that's how they were in my phone. And I was like, no, Anthony, no. That is not the way you're going to do real estate. And I think the reason why I am successful is because I've always tried to build a business by referral. So I try to do an incredible job for somebody so that they refer me to all my family and friends. So their family and friends.
That to me sounds even more poetic than what, I thought it was just you were going to say, hey, to relate to it. When interest rates go above 7, the market gets funky. Anything below 7, the market's moving. I thought you were going to say hey, at 30, if I do more than 30 deals a year, it's just things start to go crazy. But really what you're saying is it was more of a core value thing.
Yeah.
The core value, one of the core values of your business is that you have this close personal relationship with the people that you work with. 100%. And once you feel like you're losing that ability to do that, that's when you know you've gone too far.
Yeah. I mean, that's bingo. That's it.
So how do you, I guess this is something else I'm curious about. Obviously, you're doing 50 deals.
Yeah.
You're very much in demand because people love you.
Sure.
So then how do you regulate that? Do you turn people away? How do you?
So that's really good, right? Because that's a great question, because you're giving people this amazing experience, right? And then they want to get that similar experience. So you're kind of like, okay, come on, Anthony Perrotta, let's go, turn it on. But what was happening during that time was I was working, with listings, I think I knock it out of the park all the time. With buyers, I think it's really challenging. When there's
a lot of work.
Yeah, especially when there's low inventory and and they're telling you about houses that are coming on. Like, that's never what I want. I want to be the one that's the leader in control and kind of like, driving the car. So that's when I started being like, maybe I'm dropping the ball a little bit, And that's when you don't want to feel like that, especially if you work a business that is fueled by the experience that they have.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's just like, I always want to give over the top, first class, just great service, because that's what's going to get more business. So when you just go above and beyond.
So just to stop there for a second, because
Yeah.
I think this is a relevant point to kind of drill down into.
Sure.
Define what that is, right? Because there's a lot of agents that are like, listen to this and they're like, oh yeah, I give great service, but I don't think they really understand like what great service is.
100%.
So if you can like go a mile deep on the like what you do, what you consider to be great service.
Yeah. I think for me, every experience is different. So right from the beginning, I ask a lot of questions. I kind of have to know exactly how they need to be serviced, as far as like what do they require, And then what I do is I just really a handwritten note, special little things that happen. I make sure that I always make sure I answer their questions before they have that question. So it's like, I have this thing. I used to work, when I was younger, I worked at Friendly's, okay? And I taught at Friendly's University. FU, that's what we call it.
This is the real thing?
This is real. This is real. In order to work at Friendly's, you need to be trained by yours truly, okay?
No kidding.
And we learned a lot of great things there. And one of the things that I remember is, if I was working a table and that table asked me for either more napkins, a refill, or something wasn't right,
You weren't doing your job.
their experience was going from here to here to here. And that to me is not good. So if a client is asking you what's going on with the contracts, right? And you don't have that already answered, then their experience is here. So I always say, like, you never want them to ask for napkins. So you have to kind of be ahead of them. So for me, it's a matter of being above and beyond. So my marketing is like, I spend a lot of money on it because I like the way it looks. It's like when you go into a store, right? And you see the way that a store has all the clothes lined up beautifully and they're all going the same way and they're kind of color coordinated. Like, this is the most expensive thing that they are going to sell or they're going to buy. They should have this like top-notch quality experience, so that they feel as special as they do when they go into that store. So for me, that's kind of what I always try to do. I always try to elevate everything. So, my marketing, yes, it's on better paper. You will get a handwritten note. I will make sure I ask you what your fears and concerns are and listen to you. So I'm always going to be there for you. And then I think the best thing that we offer, especially being in the business for 23 years, is an incredible team. And I think how important a team is,
It's everything.
These are people that are trusted. These are people that when they do go with my people, they're going to have a great experience, because my team knows that my clients get the VIP treatment.
You're talking about your referral partners, like your home inspector, your mortgage person, your attorney.
It's so important. So you asked me like, what makes a great experience? I think all of those things make a great experience. But I think where agents kind of drop the ball is they go into kind of just a transactional mode.
Yeah.
And they don't really like listen to what their clients actually need. So for me, it's kind of, there's a great book. I'm sure I don't know if you've read it yet, but it's like, this book honestly is like something that every realtor should read. All right. Unreasonable Hospitality. It's by Will Guidara. It is lights out, just a really great book, just talking about making an experience just go over the top. And it basically is about a restaurant, 11 Madison Park. which is, this beautiful Michelin star restaurant. And like, they wanted to be one of the top restaurants in the world. And how did they get there? Right? Spoiler alert, they do get there, but you shouldn't know that, but they do. But it's just an incredible story of the detail.
Yeah.
Like, and for me, okay, so you asked me more about Anthony Perrotta's experience. So like, when I list a home, I asked them the question. I said, listen, would you be willing to invest a little bit of money into this home, or do you want to just put it on the market? Like, first question, right? They're like, yeah, we would invest some. Okay, great. I have an incredible handyman that I can refer to you, and we could just get, and I just go through the house and I look it through a buyer's like eyes, and I say, okay, there's like an old stain on that ceiling tile. They're like, oh, that's old. I said, yeah, I know it's old, but a buyer's going to come in and they're going to see that stain, and immediately they're going to say like, what's going on over there? Let's not have them say what's going on over there. Let's replace the ceiling stuff. Really, replace the ceiling tile. For me, that's like, I don't know, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So my listings usually do really well. And when I say really well, I mean $75,000, $100,000 over. And it's because I pay attention to those details. I go in with an eagle eye and I look to see exactly what we need to do in order to not only give it a good online experience, but also a really incredible showing experience. And I think that's where some agents drop the ball, is they don't take the time to put energy into how this listing is going to be perceived from the public. And they're like, oh, they can figure it out. No. Buyers need you to create that lifestyle so that they walk in and they're just like, yeah, I like it.
How often do the seller, so it sounds like you're very seller heavy. Like, what's the ratio of buyer to seller?
So it's interesting. It used to be like 70-30, and then
70 buyer, 30.
No, 70 listing, 30 buyer. And I think just last year I was almost 50-50.
Oh, really?
Which is surprising.
So you're still working with a lot of buyers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
I know. I thought you were going to say, in order to be able to kind of like do more and still offer the service, that you were going more towards listings.
No, I go where the business takes me, right? So if I get a great referral, a lot of times it's buyers that are referred to me because they're so frustrated. Mm-hmm. They dealt with an agent before and they didn't have a good experience. So then it's kind of like you have to work overtime to show that you are going to be different and you're going to treat them differently.
Do you ever turn anybody away? And if so, why?
Yeah, I do. So I would think before COVID, I would turn people more away than I do now, actually, because I do love a challenge. I do. I love like an asshole. I do. There's something about just like,
I'm going to turn you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make you crack us. I'm going to crack you.
No, I'm going to make you like me. Watch this. So like for me, I enjoy when someone doesn't like me, because I'm just like,
does that happen?
I mean, of course, not everyone's going to like you.
I think it's more they just don't like themselves or the situation. They don't know you enough to not like you.
Listen, it's okay. They don't like realtors, right? So I'm a realtor. So they don't like me because of that. So, and fair enough. Fair enough. I don't like some realtors. Yeah. Some of them, they're not great. So it's kind of like our industry, unfortunately, we don't always have like the best reputation, because there are some, in every industry, there's some people that are just not exactly, above board or whatever. So yeah, so for me, like if I find someone who's not really responding to me, mm-hmm. I like a challenge. I enjoy it. And I love turning them. I remember I had the seller, and he was just giving me shit the entire time. Everything I said, he had an objection. He's like, and I'm just like, okay. So what did I do? I was like, listen, you know what? I just don't think it's going to work. I just think we have different energies, and I just don't think I'm your realtor. And I'll never forget this, because it was referred to me from somebody. The wife looks at her husband and she's just like, be nice. And he was like, okay. It turns out like I was able to win him over, mm-hmm. and he would like call me up and he would ask me to go hunting with him. I'm like, I don't know if I would do that, but yeah, but it was just like really funny to say like I like it. I do. I like a good challenge.
I train the acquisitions people, mm-hmm. and like I have an extensive career in sales also for the last 20 years. And I always tell people, I'm like, I'll say can be sold for lack of a better word, but like anybody can be made to like you, basically. Like even the most nasty person loves somebody, smiles about when they see somebody. It's just a matter of saying the right thing, asking the right questions, listening.
You got to bond with them on something. You got to find one little thing. If you find that, like what I always do is I'm like a detective when I go into a house and I start to look. And if I see, oh my God, if I see anything Disney related, that's it.
Have you talked to Amanda about Disney, by the way?
No.
It's like her happy. It's all,
Does she love Disney?
Obsessed with Disney, always wants to go. It's her happiest place from childhood.
All
everything.
right, so listen, I'm a little bit of a Disney adult. I enjoy Disney. I get it. I get the whole thing. I mean, I'm not insane. I'm not going to wear like ears and stuff like that. But I get the attraction and I get the appeal. But if I see anything Disney, whether it be like a Thomas Kincaid, Disney Castle or something, I'm like, oh, do you guys like Disney World? They're like, Disney World, we love Disney World. Like I have so many group text messages that I've named that say, we love Disney or bust, Disney is the only way. Like, and I rename them and they're like, we love Disney. So like, once you find that one little thing, and it could be their dog, it could be Disney, it could be sports, it could be a college, it could be anything that you can kind of just get to know them a little bit better. I think your experience is going to change, where it doesn't become that they're an address and it becomes that you start to know who they are. And that's where your business is going to come from. And I think most realtors, what they do is they kind of just drop the ball. They give good service. They do. They give good service. They get to the closing table. Everything's great. But then they don't go one step further and they don't ask for the business. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I guess there's kind of two parts to what we're saying.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, when you go in there, it's not about the business. It's originally about forming the connection and obviously building rapport. And a lot of people, to your point before, they become so used to the deal. Like, I'm going to come in here. You're going to tell me you know a million other realtors. I'm going to have to sit with you for an hour and listen. I'm going to have to drink the crappy cup of coffee. And you're going to give me the listing anyway. Why can't we just jump ahead? And what I tell people is, I'm just like what you said. This is your 300th, 500th, 50th, whatever transaction. This is the first time they've done this, or like 100%. The second time they've done this. So you have to treat it as such.
Yeah. And by the way, I could do a listing appointment like it's autopilot. I could be thinking about like what I'm going to eat for dinner that night and stuff like that. However, I will show you that I'm 100% with you, because for me, I enjoy doing a listing presentation, but I really enjoy finding out what your goals are and like how you want the process to go and how you want to be communicated with and learning more about the person. Like to me, it's like, it's all about that. Like, because the goal, of course, is to sell the home, but the real goal is to win them over so that they only think about you when they know anyone looking to buy or sell. That's always the goal.
The thing that's interesting, I think the root of your powers, I might be right or wrong, is that you just really like people and you genuinely care about them.
Yeah, I do.
Because that's the thing, like you get a lot of people that are in sales that like, I fucking hate people. I'm like, well, you can't be in sales if you hate people. Like you have to genuinely like people, be curious about them, interested in their experiences, want to listen to like what they've done and learn from them and just enjoy the interaction.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy the stories. I enjoy hearing about, where they've been or where they're going. Like I enjoy uncovering like all the details.
So let's get to the teaching aspect of this, because you said friendlies. There's kind of two things that hit, because I know that you teach now. The friendlies thing, keep thinking about peanut butter sauce. Yeah. Because I've been trying to be good, and I love peanut butter sauce. Who doesn't?
Yeah, it's the best.
But obviously teaching is a very important part of your life. Yeah. Helping others, sharing, etc. Because, I mean, how old were you when you were working at Friendlies?
2020.
Okay, so from the time you were 20, maybe even before that, you've obviously had this thing where you have to teach.
Yeah, I always find myself in some kind of role like that. Yes.
Where does that come from?
I think it's a part of just like, luckily I have a real estate coach, right? I just actually celebrated 15 years with him. So that's
same coach, 15 years.
No, we just switched. So it's 15 years. Actually, I have a woman now and she's wonderful. But to me, it's like I love to share what I've learned through the years because it's just experience. And I think the difference between like a new and a seasoned agent, I usually say is like words. Like you figured out the words that work. Like a more seasoned agent's like when they go to a listing appointment, when they talk to a buyer, they kind of know what words are going to make them feel more comfortable. That's a good word, by the way, comfortable, right? So it's like you figure out those little magic words that are going to feel good for that seller or for that buyer. And I think maybe a newer agent, they may try stuff. And by the way, it's all trial and error, because you can be with somebody and say something, you'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to say that again. Gotcha. You did not respond well to that. Now I get it. So it's you just kind of figure it out. So for me, I enjoy watching light bulbs go on, and I enjoy watching that. I think the best thing about real estate is that there's so many different ways to do it, right? Like you can advertise, you can cold call, you could door knock, you could do all of the stuff, right? You could do videos, you could do podcasts, you could do everything. But the truth is, and this is kind of my claim to fame, shake my hand, $10,000. So every single time you meet a new person, you really can think of $10,000. That's going to make you meet more people, because that handshake doesn't mean you're going to give me $10,000, but you're going to, maybe I can own a little piece of your mind, so that when you know somebody looking to buy or sell, maybe you'll give me a shot.
And it's $10,000.
And well, maybe it's here.
Sometimes more.
Let's do it again. Hi, $22,000. So it could be $46,000. Because you could refer me multiple times because you had such a great experience. So for me, it's almost like your database is like a snowball, right?
Yeah.
And your snowball is as it goes down the mountain, it's going to get stronger, it's going to get faster, it's going to get bigger.
Yeah.
So, and I think sometimes realtors, they don't really work so much on a database, and they work on all these other different avenues, which is good. But the problem is when you're in front of somebody, they don't really know who you are. So for me, if I go on a listing appointment, a lot of times I can just go in and they're just like, yeah, we're good, we're just going to sign. I'm like, no, let me tell you why. I want to do my spiel. I want to be able to kind of share with you why, So I think for me, I like to share with other realtors this method, because it's easier than they're making it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people overcomplicate
Totally
how to get business. I mean, to get business, you have to go out, you have to meet people, you have to talk. Yeah. You have to share, you have to explain, you have to ask, you have to say, hey, do you have a realtor? No, I don't really work with them. Oh, you know what? I'd love to help you out then if you ever know anyone looking to buy or sell. And then keep in touch.
Yeah.
Keep in touch, and just start to build something. Because I think a lot of transactional agents, what they do is every year they do the exact same thing. But the cool thing about the way I work by referral is technically you can make more money every single year in real estate, because your database is only going to get stronger. So you're going to elevate every single year. You're going to go a little bit further up. And that's what I can do, right? And it's like a faucet. You can kind of turn it on when you want it, and I have gotten to a place where we talked about, being number one, listen, I'm in the top 1% of my company. I was number one in my office, maybe not in my firm.
You're one in your office in all of it.
All of it.
All of it.
Yes. So, which is great, right? But who cares about that? Us and number two. Your client does not care that you're number one. They don't care.
They might.
I don't know.
I think it's bragging rights.
No, I think we want them to. We want to think that they care. I don't think they care. I don't think they care, because they're buying you. You're the one that they want.
That's true. I always have these. I've had these discussions with certain broker owners or people.
Did you hear that? It just growled.
People big corporate brokerages, and they're like, and I'm sure you've heard this before, you can't list the multi-million-dollar home unless you're with XYZ brokerage. And I'm like, that's bullshit, man.
Of course.
I'm like, they're buying you. They don't care what the name of the card is. They don't care.
Of course.
You seem like a very organized person. At least from the outside.
Yeah, I got you all fooled.
Is it?
No, I mean, I am to a degree. I mean, me and Amanda actually spoke about this, but I love my Remarkable, my notebook.
Yep.
I'm kind of old school in that I love writing. I love doing all of that stuff. I can be organized, but I could also, I think as realtors, I think we're all kind of a little bit, we're independent contractors, right? So we're all little free spirits. We're all kind of a little wonky and wacky in our ways. But yeah, I can be organized, but I don't think I'm organized by, I'm not wired to be organized. That makes sense.
The only reason I'm bringing it up is because in order to like offer this level of service that you do, you have to be organized. Like, how do you, and listen, when you're dealing with even, forget about 24, because that's just madness, right? But when you're dealing with even, let's say, 5 or 6 different buyers and sellers at the same time, how are you remembering, oh, like appraisal, I have to update them, what happens next, I have to make that call, whatever. Like, how do you stay organized? Because I think that's a really big issue for most people when we're talking about real estate here.
I think I am designed in a way that I'm immediate. I'm very fast.
It's all just
I'm always
whirling in your mind.
This is me always. Like I'm always like, oh, I gotta. I hate having like a to-do list. I like to just check everything off. So I like to just like get things like I'm very fast. Like my clients are sometimes like, whoa, that was fast. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm nuts, especially like with my attorneys. Like if a deal doesn't, like I'm dying right now because these buyers haven't signed their contract yet. And I'm just like, well, why haven't they signed? It's been 2 days. We've already gone through this. I go, I'm going to go to the next deal. Like I may look nice, but I am a pretty aggressive in some of the ways that I am. I don't know. I think I'm just good at updating people because when I go to a restaurant or when I like a certain level of service. So I think I want my clients to get that same level. So I just try to like stay on everyone. I don't have an answer. I just think you're
just wired that way. Like,
I am wired that way.
You obviously have a great memory. Like I didn't know if it was like, hey, I have a great memory and I'm just boom, 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 moving a million miles an hour, or no, like I am this person that is super diligent. No, I have this CRM. I have this
I do have a CRM,
intricate system that I set up.
Of course. But I don't have anyone like on a drip campaign. Like I don't do any of that. You know, like for me, I just find like the value in it, like with me, is like I love talking. You know, like I like to talk to people, and I think it's rare sometimes to talk because everyone likes to just. And I like texting too.
Well, because we're old, man.
Yeah,
like how old are you? 45?
I'm 46.
Okay, so I'm 40. What year did you graduate high school?
96.
Okay, so 97. We're right there. But like
how did we become old?
I don't know when we became the old guys in the room. I mean, we look fantastic. I don't care what
you look great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I was like reminiscing before about beepers. Like these kids don't even know what a beeper is.
They don't know. They don't know.
I don't know. Like yesterday I was in Roy Rogers looking at my beeper. Today there's no more Roy Rogers. And
I was going to say Roy Rogers.
That's how long ago it was. That's my last beeper memory.
Yeah.
I was getting like a 143 from my 16-year-old girlfriend at the time.
Right, we thought we were so cool. We had beepers. We had to go to a payphone to call them back.
And now we're like we're middle aged. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, fair, but also we've evolved. So as much as we're old, we know about technology. Well, I do.
Yeah, but
you know, I look at you. You have a podcast. You know, like you're evolved.
I mean, but these new guys, like these new kids, it's a different way of life. Like you were saying, texting. They'll have. I mean, and now I sound old saying this. Full-blown relationships. Will you marry me? Breakups, all through text messages. Like text messages is a totally acceptable way to communicate.
Yeah, and for me, I love a phone call.
Yes.
I love hearing someone's voice like this. I'm enjoying because I get to like hear you. I get to see you also. I like seeing people too. So like I get to hear you and I get to hear your energy and I can feed off of that. I have some friends of mine that's funny. I have a good friend of mine. He's like, do you know you're like one of the only people that actually call me?
Yeah.
And I go, is that right? He's like, yeah. He's like, you're like one of my only phone calls that I actually get on the phone with. He's not like he's not in sales, you know? Yeah. So he's like, I just don't talk to people on the phone.
And I think something as simple as that when dealing with the clients, especially the older clients, like let's face it, younger people are buying houses, but the majority of houses that are being moved, because we're transacting on them literally every week, are older people.
Yeah.
And those people don't live in a social media world. I'm not saying they don't have Facebook. Like my mom has Facebook. My mom has Instagram. Yeah. But those type of people want a phone call.
They love
it. Like know the room, right? Like know your audience, know who your client is.
So with an older person, you have to make sure you schedule enough time so you don't rush them off the phone.
Yeah.
Because like for me, like if I'm calling someone older, they maybe they are retired. So they do want to talk. And they don't always want to talk about real estate. They want to like...
They never want to talk about
No, they want to just, expand the conversation. So I think it's really bad sometimes if you're talking to somebody like, oh, I'm so sorry, but I have to run to another, because now you don't have time for them. So like my older clients, I always set aside time to talk to them. So I have time to really talk to them. But of course, I mean, you can't be on the phone for 3 hours. You kind of have to figure out that happy medium. But I have found that my relationships get a lot stronger when I really do have a real conversation and then follow up with a nice handwritten note. So nice talking with you, nice hearing your voice, whatever it is. It's just that little, you want to hear a crazy story? This is actually really interesting. So, and by the way, like, I don't even use them, but I was really pleased by this. I'm going to give them a shout out. College Hunks hauling junk, right? So I made it into, the Diamond Circle of Excellence, right? With my company. I get a beautiful handwritten note from them, okay? That says, congratulations, I'm making it into the Diamond Circle of Excellence.
Very smart.
And by the way, it was long. So I'm analyzing this note for like maybe 5 minutes.
How do they do that?
I thought it was software. I'm like, there's no way and I'm looking at it, but I'm like, there's smudges. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call them. So I call them and I'm like, hey, listen, first off, I want to say thank you for the note. I really appreciate it, but I do have a question. I'm like, did you actually write this note or did you have a software? Because you had a software, I will tell you, like Anderson Windows, they have, they do a software.
Yeah,
that
but you could tell.
You can kind of
You could tell.
So I'm like, is this? He's like, no, we actually had somebody handwrite all of the cards to like the top producers. And I said, wow, that was really smart. And I go, I just want you to know, I really appreciate it. And the next deal that I get is going to you.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow, thank you so much. You know what I got the next day?
What?
2 dozen, okay, caked on cupcakes.
From them?
From them. With all their business cards on it. I mean, what a...
Damn.
That's called unreasonable hospitality. That's where you take it to the next level. And guess what I just did?
Yeah. Who knows?
Right?
Yeah, no. Who knows how many people are going to see it, watch it, listen
and
to it.
And I have a great mover that I use, but unfortunately, like they did do this and it was great. And I appreciated it so much. So I think people remember those little those little touches that you do are going to make more of an impact than you getting $75,000 over their list price. So you have to find those little magic moments, those moments where you can say like, I want to be remembered. I have to be, I want you to always think of me.
The interesting thing, or the hard thing becomes, how do you scale the unscalable? Like something like that. That's like, how do you, I mean, I don't even know how the hell they did that.
It was impressive. It was impressive.
Or like,
and expensive.
Did they follow you? How did they find you? Like that's a lot. Like, how do you do that?
I appreciated the attention that they put into it though. I thought that was really, to me, it was impressive. Like, I just had a client of mine, this is fun. I had a client of mine, they bought on a house on Shepherd Lane, and they just had a baby. So I bought them baby clothes that are sheep, so that, the shepherd with the sheep.
Oh, that's cool.
Little things like that. You got to find those opportunities that you can like just stand out. And I think that's kind of like the magic, just standing out and then staying current with them. And I think that's where realtors drop. I think they just kind of like, they forget.
Absolutely drop. It's very transactional. And once they're gone, they're gone.
I sold a house in Melville. So listen to this. This is wild. He bought it in 2019, paid $535. It was a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath colonial. Small, clean.
$850 today.
$820.
Yeah. Wild.
It makes you want to call everybody though that bought in 2019.
And be like,
guess what?
There's a lot of money there.
Guess what? Guess what's happening out there? I mean, what is going on with the market? I mean, it's wild. Depending on the price point, of course.
So when you say wild, what do you mean by wild?
I have noticed I just did a listing in Babylon, right? I priced it compelling. We did a lot of work to get it ready to get on the market. I had 30 offers.
Yeah.
30. With today's rates, 30 offers. The buyers are out there.
We started, not that we shifted, but we're doing more new builds than we've ever done before. So now I'll build 30, 40 new houses this year on top of the other stuff.
That's impressive.
So thank you.
Yes.
But I did an open house for a new build last week because ironically the agent didn't show up. So I was stuck there. And I was blown away. 30 couples came through the door to buy a $1.4 million house, like it was nothing.
I know.
And it was shocking to me. I was just like, there is so many people and we got offers cash. Here's my bank account. Here's 1.6. We're ready to go. And it blows my mind.
Two things have happened. One, the living inheritance is becoming a real thing where these baby boomers have done very well and they want to see their children enjoy life, and they are giving them large sums of money and they're saying, here you go, take it now. So we're seeing that, and we're seeing also those people that did so well in real estate that they bought their home for this and now it's worth this.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like ranches.
Yeah.
You can't touch a ranch because if a baby boomer wants it, they'll pay anything. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're just like, and I actually had one of my clients and I'm just like, well, we got to be a little concerned on resale. They're like, I don't care. This is my last stop.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw 200 into this. It's going to be incredible. This is where I want to be.
Yeah, no, I didn't think of that.
My kid lives right around the corner. This is perfect. I'm right near my grandkids. It's exactly what I want. I said, okay. So it's like, living inheritance is like the new thing where people are coming with just a lot of money that they're getting from, their parents.
Yeah.
And people did very well in real estate and have a lot of additional money. So we're seeing this influx of this new buyer that has been created.
It's just wild because to your point, the rates are high.
Yeah.
It is very expensive. Like it's $12 for a dozen eggs.
It's silly.
Depending on what kind of eggs you're buying.
Yes.
And then you have literally there was 30 people on Saturday. There was 30 people on Sunday. We had full price cash offers. And I was like, this is wild. And if they didn't like the house for whatever reason, they're like, do you have anything else? It was mind blowing. And a lot of people keep saying, like buddies of mine, they're like, it can't keep going up. It can't keep going up. It can't keep going up.
But we've been saying that since 2020.
But if you look at it from usually when there's some type of a crash, there's a systemic reason behind it. And most people don't realize until it's over. Yeah. But when you really look at it objectively, there is nothing systemic that is going on that is an issue that could cause a major crash. Could rates go up and just kind of grind it to a halt a little bit? Yes, but nothing like 2008.
The inventory is still so low.
Non-existent.
And buy demand is still there. And that's what a house is worth, what a buyer is willing to pay and what a seller is willing to take, right?
The only thing that concerns me a little bit about Long Island right now, and not today, but maybe like 10 years down the road, is it is very apparent to me in my market, and you might see something different depending on where you are, who's buying. So before it was, hey, you grew up on Long Island, you want to raise your kids on Long Island, you grew up in Wantagh, you want to stay in Wantagh, right? Now it's like, hey, you grew up in Wantagh, I can't afford to live here. I'm moving to Texas, North Carolina, Tennessee. And we have a lot of influx of people that are coming in from the boroughs
100%.
Who are selling expensive real estate.
Yep.
And they're like, oh my God, I've never seen a backyard bigger than 3x3 in my entire life. And I just sold this thing for $1.9 million in Ozone Park.
I got all this additional money.
Exactly.
This is only 1.4.
But what happens when that stops? And does it ever stop? Or is there a new, because when you look at New York as a whole, we are losing people.
100%.
So my only concern, not today, but maybe let's say 10 plus years down the road is what happens there?
Well, I mean, listen, I have sold during down markets, right? And I've made good money during down markets. You just have to adapt. You have to pivot. You have to change. And maybe it's the price. Maybe it's this. But, people are always going to need to buy and people are always going to need to sell.
Yeah.
You just want to be the realtor that they choose when that happens.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of having conversations and saying, yeah, we're not in that market anymore. So it's always going to come down to price. That's like what a seller does not want to hear because they think, you're just giving it away. No, the truth is it's the market will determine what the correct price is.
Yes.
Right. So it's like, I don't think you could even underprice a home. So I think for me, it's like a matter of finding, I always say, this is my word, but you could use it. I always say, find a compelling number, a number that's going to get the buyers in.
That's a good word.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's a good
and
word.
Get the agents excited to show it. You find that compelling number, you'll get a lot of interest. Your seller will be happy because you have a lot of people coming through. But more importantly, you're going to have multiple offers. And then this is another one of my terms, you could use this too, is there's always a jumper in the mix. somebody that just wants the house just a little bit more, or they've already lost 3 or 4 houses and they don't care.
They're just,
They're just
ready.
I've had where all my offers are like here, 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 here. And then I have 2 that are like, meh.
Yeah.
And those people are willing to waive the appraisal. They're willing to do this. They're like, I don't care. I just want a house.
Yeah.
So you got to get compelling number, make it look fantastic, and get those jumpers. And that's where I think my secret sauce is, and the good news is a lot of people can't do what I do because I really do have a good eye. When I go into a home and everyone's like, oh, Anthony, your listings are always so beautiful. They're not, but I'll make them look as good as I can. I'll tweak them. I'll figure out. That's another thing that is in my profile. I am a refiner. Like, I love to refine things.
I remember you told me that when we were on the phone.
Yes, I love to make things a little bit better. So for me, like when I see a house, I'm like, what can I do?
Has that extended to past relationships as you were growing up?
Of course.
I know, we've all done that.
Yes.
That doesn't end well usually. But
please, my partner now is always like, stop fixing me. And I'm just like, listen, I can't help it. I'm designed this way. That's what I always say to him. But like, for me, it's like, I guess it's a positive in some aspects, but also I guess it could be a negative because you are trying to always fix everything, right? And make everything just a little bit better.
I don't think anything's wrong with that.
Yeah, well.
I don't. How do you handle the tough conversations with clients?
Yeah.
I think agents have a really big problem with that. Like they get kind of cringy in those moments where someone's looking for 900 and it's 700, or you have to have a conversation about a price reduction, or you have to have a conversation.
Doing it right now.
Whatever it might be.
It's always a little uncomfortable, right? Because they're taking it as almost like they're like offended.
Yeah.
Like their house is being rejected. And sometimes it is our number, right? We're like, oh, we feel comfortable with this number. But I always say, whenever I list a home, I always say this too. I say, listen, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know the way the market's going to receive your home. Since COVID, I've always done like a range of pricing, right? Mm-hmm. So those conversations are difficult. However, they're necessary. And I think so many agents, they wait to have that conversation. So for me, educating the clients on what is selling in the area, educating clients on why you believe it's not selling. And I'm dealing with this right now. I have a listing and it's not here, it's a little further west, and it's a little bit of a different market. And we're having that conversation right now as far as price and also showing experience. I feel like something's happening where they're like, oh, the home feels dated. And they go, the home's not dated. It's got a new roof, it's got a new burner, it's got new this. But there's something that a buyer is feeling that we can't ignore. So I think those difficult conversations are easier when you continually give feedback. And I think agents don't give feedback sometimes.
So that's an important point.
Yeah.
How connected are you to a seller? So like you have a house, it's listed.
Yeah.
How often are you speaking to them? How often are you updating them? What are you saying to them?
In this market every day. Because there's so much happening, so in this market every day. However, again, I've been doing this for a long time. So there used to be, you have a listing, you would tell the seller, you got to assume 3 to 4 months until we, get an offer. And that was normal. So it was like once a week you would check in with them, but you can't do that anymore. We live in an instant gratification world. So that's not going to give you that extra star. You're not getting a first class experience if you're not talking to them and updating them on what's happening. Of course, listen, if nothing's happening, you're not going to be like, oh, nothing happened today, but depending on, I guess, the price point, depending on the speed of the market, all of those things, there's a lot of factors that come into play. But for me, I think communicating is really important. The problem is a lot of times a realtor shows your home and they don't give you feedback. Yeah. And then you try to you're stalking them. Yeah. You're texting them, you shoot them a DM, you're like, what do I need to do to get feedback? But usually that means their clients weren't interested, right? But that's hard to relay that to a seller. So a lot of times I just say, I'm really, I'm still trying to connect with the agent. I will let them know what they think. But
is it usually a phone call, or will you text with them?
Oh, that's interesting. It depends on their age. If they're older, it is a phone call. I think they appreciate that. I do have a client that just wants to text me. So I'll just say,
if that's their preferred method.
And I ask them that question. How do you like to communicate? Do you prefer, like an attorney, email? They love a timestamp. Meanwhile, text or timestamp, but still they just want to always have it so that it's like formal. So it's like, if you ask questions, you'll know how to serve them. So I always ask that question. I'm like, hey, like, what do you like? Do you prefer a phone call? Do you like text, or do you like calls in the morning? Are you calls in the evening? And like you said, I'm organized in the fact that I have a good memory. So I do put it in like a CRM, if like, just so I can like jog my own memory. But for the most part, I'm pretty good that I can kind of like keep everything like under control.
No, it's amazing advice. Kind of as a closer, because there's 30,000 agents on Long Island.
Yeah.
And let's face it, the overwhelming majority of them want to be you.
Oh, that's very nice.
Right? I mean, they want to be at your level. They want to be doing what you're doing. They want to be able to buy the shoes, live the life, all that stuff.
Yeah.
What would you say to the probably 27,000 of the 30,000 that aren't anywhere near the volume of business that you're doing, but they want to get there?
I think for me, it's sometimes pick a lane. They're all over the place. So find a focus that you want to really work on. Like if you're going to chase expireds and chase expireds and do it with a mission to get that to be your sole business that's coming in. But I don't think that's the way. I think real estate will always be relationally based. I think you're dealing with someone's most valuable asset on both sides. I think you gotta get out there and you have to just start shaking hands. You gotta start $10,000 people, right? You gotta start bringing that so that they know that you're in real estate. They know that you love real estate. They know that you're good at real estate, and start to brand. I think a lot of realtors, they miss out on that, and they're branding in a way that maybe is not so much like a real estate agent. A lot of these like real estate influencers and stuff like that, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there.
Yes.
And I know what their business is, and I know what they actually do, because numbers, fortunately and unfortunately, our numbers are public knowledge. You can look them up, right? You can look to see how many sales I did last year, right? You can see at the, who's sitting at the diamond dinner and who's not. So you know what's what. So for me, I think for all realtors, like, find something that you love to do and stay with that and stay in your lane. But I think you will always make more money in real estate if you start to build a business that is relationally focused, and you start to hone in on that CRM to say, like, this is who I want to be. This is how I want to build my business, and start to teach your clients how to refer you. I think that's the main thing. You got to teach clients how you want to be referred.
And in your words before, ask for the business. Don't be afraid to ask for this. You have to. There's so many people that take it to this point, have this great presentation, and they never actually ask for the business.
Yeah, and also ask for all the business, because I'll tell you why. Because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, you only sell $1 million homes. You only sell beautiful homes. And I remember I had somebody say, oh, my aunt had a cape in Comac. It was like maybe like $6.99, $7.99. As like we didn't want to give it to you, or at the time maybe $4.99, $5.99, whatever it was. I will take that every single day, right? I will take a $4.99. If I could get a $4.99, I will take it. So ask for all the business. Don't just ask for like, I only want to sell $1 million homes. I have a co-op right now that's under contract for $200,000 in Patchogue.
Yeah.
It was great. And I was so happy I got to help my friend, and now we're looking to purchase something. So it's kind of like, I just want to help you, whatever your real estate need is. I want to just be there. I want you to think real estate and think Anthony Perrotta. That's it. I don't care. And it doesn't even have to be real estate. It could be, you need someone for your wood floors. You need someone to clean your house. You need a good roofer. Like I said, I developed a really beautiful team. So I have somebody for everything. Everything.
So I have one more question.
Okay.
This just popped up.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for
23 years.
23 years. How do you keep it going from a motivational standpoint? Like, how do you get up every day? Because everybody has to have something that's driving.
Yeah.
You're a competitive person, yes, but you're like, you know what? I've kind of gotten into this rhythm of like my volume of business and the type of people I'm working with, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
But like, how do you get up every day and push to do that? Like, what gets you motivated? What like gets you excited to go out there and do this at the level that you do it every day?
Honestly, people like you, people like agents. I have a really good like tribe of agents that are my good friends. And I think mindset and just birds of a feather, you find those like-minded people that are going to push you and make you better. There's if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, all of that stuff. But there is truth to that, right? So for me, it's kind of like, sometimes you're not so motivated. And in those days, it's okay. I don't have to be Anthony Perrotta always. You're allowed to wear sweatpants. You're allowed to put on Netflix. You're allowed to, get a buffalo chicken slice and eat it in front and just be like, today's not going to happen. And that's okay. So it's like, that's the cool thing about what we do. I think you don't have to always be on. And I have off days. I'm not like, oh, the real estate, I love it. Of course I do love it. I love real estate. It's exciting. It's fun. I enjoy watching other agents succeed. I enjoy watching other agents learn new things. I enjoy learning new things. So like even if I got one thing out of this, I want you to read Unreasonable Hospitality. Probably I'll send it to you because that's who I am, right? I'll probably, after this, this is what I'm going to do. Now you heard me do it. Ready? He's going to get one. So I'm going to go to, a bookstore. I'm going to get the book and I'm going to write you a beautiful handwritten note. I'm going to say, thank you so much, Charles, Charles, is that what you like?
Yes, It works.
Thank you, Charles, for having me on your podcast. This was a great time. And I'd like you to read this book. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And that's what I'm going to do.
Love it.
And I enjoy all of that, so what is the big question is like, what is your why, right? And that's a hard question for me because I don't have, children. I don't have, I have a beautiful stepdaughter who I adore, but that's a hard question for me, the why, because I do have a beautiful house. I have the pool. I have this. I could.
That's kind of what I meant. What are you striving for when you have exactly what you want?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think it's just to always kind of like just, do a little bit better, be a little bit better and like give someone a little bit better experience. So, I think that's about it. For me, that's like, I love just watching that happen. I love watching agents just like succeed. That to me is like exciting. Yeah.
Well, listen, I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I commend you for what you're doing for the business, for what you've done for all the agents.
Thank you.
And I thank you for the time.
Yeah, it's been
so
great.
If anyone's looking to buy or sell,
hey,
that's your camera.
Come to me, Anthony Perrotta. I do them all.
How do they get in touch with you? How do they get a hold of you?
You can follow me on Instagram, Anthony__Perrotta, Perrotta. Check out my website, anthonyperrottasells.com. I'm pretty easy to find, actually. You just push Anthony Perrotta in Google, I come right up. So that's how you find me.
Obviously, I'm the handsome home buyer. If you have a house that smells like cat pee or doesn't, I'm quick, I'm easy. I think I'm a good time. And I want to buy it. 516-777 sold. That's a wrap.